Welcome back, or just welcome. Today we're talking about the premiere episode of Farmer Wants a Wife. Now, the last time I tried to make a video series about a Fox reality show distributed by a British production company, I got my first copyright strike. So, fingers crossed, this attempt goes better than that. I'm Lizzie Frizzle, and this is the Recap Corner. Though I've never felt at home in the nation known as Bachelor, I've always liked dating shows, especially if they've got a gimmick. From golden oldies like Room Raiders, Tool Academy, and Joe Millionaire, to modern classics like Are You the One, The Courtship, and Joe Millionaire for Richer or Poorer, the thing I value most in my dating shows isn't contestants finding love. It's forcing them to exist within a premise so campy and convoluted, everyone's guaranteed not to. I hoped to find that during the premiere of Farmer Wants a Wife, a new show that's airing Wednesdays on Fox and streaming on Hulu. Though, if you want to get technical about it, and clearly I do because I brought it up, the series actually premiered over a decade ago. The CW aired its own version for one season all the way back in 2008, but the show is even older than that. Farmer Wants a Wife was originally a British series that premiered in 2001. Now it airs in over 30 countries. The US isn't even the first to air different iterations years apart. And after this newest version is inevitably canceled after a season or two, because that's just what happens to TV shows now, if we remake it just one more time, then we'll tie Slovenia as the country with the most reboots of Farmer Wants a Wife. Given the current state of the world, I think it's a win we all need. This premiere episode is called Welcome to the Farms, because in it, 20 women move on to 4 different farms depending on which farmer they want to date. My dream as I started watching was that it would be so corny, the corn would eventually turn into camp. And that mostly happened. The premise is presented more earnestly than I hoped it would be, but there's still a lot to like about Farmer Wants a Wife. Like the host, country music superstar and Righteous Gemstones scene stealer, Jennifer Nettles. What I liked about her in this first episode was mostly her dress, so hopefully she won't change clothes all season. I also laughed a lot throughout the episode. The juxtaposition between 4 down-home farmers and the pageantry of a dating show is already funny on its own, and certain production decisions make it even sillier. To farmify the typical Bachelor Night 1 experience, instead of arriving at a mansion, the women arrive at a barn, naturally. And instead of wearing long, formal gowns, they wear more casual dresses. But it's still a dating show, so everyone's got a glamorous face on, and most people are wearing heels. Good luck if you picked the farmer who has all his first dates on a rock in the woods. Maybe you'll be the lucky one whose competition all break their ankles traipsing out to meet him. The episode opening is dramatic, as it should be because the stakes are high. Hearts are on the line like they're Lance Bass in a 2000s teen rom-com. On the line to show you, I'll never let you go. A slowed down, emotional cover of Take Me Home Country Roads by John Denver starts to play, while Jennifer Nettles narrates about the many sacrifices made by each farmer, some of whom are generationally wealthy and have almost 50 acres of land. But sure, sacrifices.
4 hard-working farmers have sacrificed their love lives in dedication of working the land.
The swelling music, the grandiose voiceover, it's all build-up before introducing the 4 farmers, the leads who are responsible for carrying the weight of the show on their farmers' tanned shoulders.
The thought of finding true love for me isn't just, I won't be lonely anymore. It's Now I have a partner.
It's hard to meet people when you don't leave the farm much.
Finding love's been pretty difficult.
I want to find love and start the other phase of my life.
That the farmers don't have access to any dating pools kind of makes me hopeful that we might come out of this show with a couple of couples. At the very least, I think it's great news for the women who were actually there to be in a relationship. These farmers all have very established and very location-based careers. They're not going to try to capitalize on their 15 minutes of reality TV fame by moving to LA and cheating on you with a bunch of influencers. So, who are these 4 wife-wanting farmers? The first thing to know is that none of them are farmers. The leads are actually 3 ranchers and a horse breeder, all of which might fall under the umbrella of farming, but I thought it was so funny that none of them actually have the word farmer in their job title. First, there's Alan, the one who's worried about dating multiple women at once. He's a 32-year-old cattle rancher from Tennessee, and like I said, he's very preoccupied at the concept of being the lead on a dating show.
Yeah, I've never done anything like this at all. It's a little out of my wheelhouse.
You mean you've never dated 8 women at one time?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever had the opportunity, Alan, to go on a first date with 8 beautiful ladies?
No, ma'am, absolutely not.
So how's that feel?
A little wrong, actually.
The more he jokes about simultaneously pursuing so many women, and the more genuine concern he expresses about doing it, the more obvious it becomes that Alan is in pretty far over his head.
Really, you only talk to one girl at a time your whole life, and then something like this comes along, and it's just not really in my wheelhouse.
As a result, most of my favorite moments from the episode come courtesy of Alan's misfortune. But I'm not rooting against him. I'm complimenting him. Everything he does in this premiere is good reality TV. Really, he's making the show better and more memorable. Unfortunately, it's by being a bit of a punching bag. Next up is Farmer Landon, the one who lives in Oklahoma. He's a 34-year-old cattle rancher from Oklahoma.
Dallas, Texas, born and raised.
You're like my neighbor that's not as good as Oklahoma.
Oh.
I think Landon might get the most screen time out of all 4 farmers. He's also got 68 cows, 3 bulls, and no neighbors for 2 miles on his farm at home. Lest you forget where that farm is, don't worry, he'll remind you.
Oklahoma's a little different, especially for most of these girls, and it takes a little getting used to.
Okay.
So I've been to like Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, but I've never
You
been to
literally just run
a little
around
dance
Oklahoma.
around, yeah.
See, they're okay, but Oklahoma's way better, so
Yeah.
you did save the best for last.
Third, there's Farmer Hunter, the one who agreed to be on the show so he could meet Jennifer Nettles.
I feel really awkward here. I've been dancing to her music since I was like 15 years old, and now she's going to help me find a dance partner. Like, there you go.
He's a 31-year-old cattle and horse rancher from Georgia. Hunter feels like the farmer's de facto leader. I'm not sure why, because he's the youngest, and because the farmers aren't meant to have a leader. But there's just something about him. He's very energetic, and he's got, like, Tommy Pickles energy. Hunter explains that he's a 5th-generation rancher, and that he wants to be on the show because by the time he finished establishing the family business, he couldn't find any women to date. But if he's 5th generation, then what was left to establish? Finally, there's Farmer Ryan, the sensitive one, aka the one whose wife will always be second to his horses. He's a 32-year-old horse breeder from North Carolina. When the farmers meet the women, Alan, Landon, and Hunter are all jokey with them. Ryan takes the more serious, vulnerable route people expect on a dating show, and it pays off.
I tell people that cowboying makes up half of who I am, and my horses mean everything to me, So to open myself up and share that part of my life with someone, It would mean a lot.
Time for a good old-fashioned format dump, courtesy of Jennifer Nettles. In this premiere, 32 women all show up at a barn, having already chosen their preferred farmer. There are exactly 8 women in each dating pool. Throughout the first half of the episode, they all get a chance to chat with their farmer one-on-one. Then every farmer eliminates 3 women, so that each of them have only 5 to choose from already. The 20 women who survive elimination are all whisked away to either North Carolina, Georgia, Oklahoma, or Tennessee, depending on where their preferred farmer lives, and filming continues there. I like the choice to not wait 2/3 of the season for the contestants to pick their preferred farmer, but I would have liked to wait an episode or 2. Let everyone live together in some ridiculous mansion barn hybrid set. Let conflict bubble between the women, and let them have the opportunity to change their mind about their chosen farmer. Because based on how it's explained, it seems like they didn't have a lot to go on. All the women matched with one of the farmers after seeing their online profile videos. But partway through the episode, it's revealed that those videos were only 1 minute long. So I think it's safe to say that when it comes to casting people who could be genuinely compatible, the producers put in exactly as much effort as I expected them to. While we're talking about casting, I do have to point out that this show has a staggering lack of diversity. I had to put on sunglasses if too many contestants were standing all in a group together. And it also feels like all of the farmers definitely have a type. With the format fully dumped, the farmers wait to meet their potential wives while posing at their designated sitting areas. A hay bale, a porch, the back of a golf cart, and the aforementioned rock. Here, we're introduced to several contestants that seem important, either to the entire season or maybe just to this episode. Ashley R. is the first woman Landon meets, and she mesmerizes him in a matter of words.
You want to come to Oklahoma in the middle of nowhere. Like, what's the appeal there?
I feel like it doesn't really matter where you're at. It just matters, like, who you're with.
That is a good answer.
Yeah.
Damn.
A big part of Ashley R.'s storyline is that she's a single mom with a dye job that matches her daughter's. After meeting Landon, she screams to camera because she's just so giddy.
The chemistry is there. Made me, like, a little bit giddy. I just feel like screaming right now.
Kylie is one of many contestants who says she's appearing on the show because she's sick and tired of city dating. But I think the real reason might be because she couldn't get on The Bachelor. Kylie churns out the dating show cliches in her interviews in a way that doesn't come off particularly genuine.
He's a total Southern gentleman. And, oh God, there's so much chemistry. I've got bubbles and butterflies, and I can't get the stupid smile off my face.
In Farmer Hunter's group, the first woman to be featured is Devon.
I really gravitate towards people that feel like sunshine.
Devon and Hunter bond because they both have dead parents. Next up, it's Megan, who lives 45 minutes away from where this episode was filmed. We don't learn much else about her other than the fact that Farmer Hunter thinks she's a hottie, which, depending on how many other women he thinks are hot, that could be enough to carry her to the final 2 easily. Over on Farmer Ryan's hay bale, we meet Lily, the Lea Michele of the cast. She's from New York, but moved to Maryland for her senior year of high school, where apparently she spent a lot of time in a barn.
High school's hard, but I could always escape to the barn. That was my sanctuary. So that's where I went to escape.
Ryan is obviously into Lily.
You have brown eyes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
You're getting lost in my eyes.
Yes.
I hope so.
She's the first woman he's met who has experience with horses, which is, kind of his thing. I had to look up the word besotted because of Lily, and I think she did too.
I'm besotted. I am besotted by Ryan.
That just leaves Farmer Alan's first dates, which are unfortunately the start of his transformation into the episode's punching bag. I expected him to be the funny farmer based on the women's descriptions of him, but instead he's quiet, serious, very unsure of himself, and by his own admission, he's not very sweet. Also, his love language seems to be car maintenance.
I would not consider myself a romantic necessarily.
By nature, I'm not really good at being super sweet. I'm more like a, hey, let me go wash your car, or let me go get you gas.
Alan comes off so disinterested. Several of the 8 women wanting to date him wonder after meeting if he even liked them.
He was a lot more calm than I was. So, I hope he's into me. He's not as excited as I am.
Alan's very first date is with a woman named Cassidy Joe. She's my favorite contestant so far, and she came to play. She talks about her heart racing, then puts Alan's hand on her chest so he can feel it.
All right.
We're here! Are you excited?
I'm good. Yeah, you excited?
My heart's racing.
Is it?
I feel it.
Just relax.
Give
It's
me
all
your
right.
hand.
It's all right. It's all right. Relax.
Can you feel it?
Yeah.
Yours isn't?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Throughout the rest of his dates, Alan answers a lot of questions with just a word or two. He forgets a contestant's name.
You forgot my name earlier.
I know, but I know it
I'm
now.
kind of mad at you for that. I'm like, oh my gosh, he doesn't even like me.
No, it's not
Okay,
that. I've just
okay.
met lots of people.
Okay,
So.
Alan.
He uses the few moments he has to meet these women to talk to them about ag sales, then explain what that is because no one outside the farming industry would have any reason to know.
I went to Montana and actually took a job in ag sales, basically.
Like ads?
Ag sales. Like
What's
pharmacy-
ag?
Agriculture.
Yeah.
But that all changes when Alan meets Ariana. The music switches from goofy to hopeful. He smiles, he banters, he offers to find her a donkey so she can ride one like she did in Mexico once.
Can we get me a donkey?
You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll see what I can do about that. I'll see what I can do.
Either this is true love, or Alan just thinks Ariana's the most attractive of his 8 potential wives. After a montage of all the first dates of the women who didn't get introduced in this episode, it's time for the first elimination. If you're the lead on a dating show, the ultimate way to say I like you to someone is to spare them the stress of an elimination ceremony by calling their name first. That's what Alan tries to do for Ariana, but she rejects him.
Ariana, wondered if you would like to go back to the farm with me.
Thank you so much, but I don't know that I can do that.
Even the woman who Alan was obviously most into thought he didn't seem excited enough about dating her.
I wish that we had a faster spark. I would have saw that he was excited or, more outwardly interested.
Alan tells the camera he was foolish to not see the rejection coming, while he's the lead on a dating show. By far, it was the realest and saddest thing to happen in the episode. I mean, Ariana would rather stop being on a TV show and go back home, to work, than try to date Alan. But at the same time, it's this rejection that will keep me rooting for Alan. Fortunately, the next 4 women, Kirsten, Rebecca, Kelsey, and Sloane, all accept Alan's invitation to move to his farm in Tennessee. That just leaves his 5th spot, essentially Ariana's sloppy seconds. Will it go to the woman whose name Alan forgot? The woman whose name we never learned? Or will it go to Cassidy Joe, the woman who's heavily featured throughout the episode, especially during this elimination scene?
Kirsten.
Just praying to God it's my name to have another chance, because he wasn't looking at me much.
Sloan, would you like to go to the farm with me?
Of course.
Cassidy Joe gets the invite, realizes it's only because Ariana quit, but accepts anyway. At the other 3 elimination ceremonies, all invitations to all farms are accepted. So get ready for a long list of names you won't remember. Sarah H., or it might have been Sarah with an H. Hold on. Sarah I, with an H, Portia, Sarah V, Lily, and Haley all head to Ryan's North Carolina farm. Landon invites Zoe, who he calls Trouble Covered in Trouble.
That girl is trouble covered in trouble, and I'm all about it.
Ashley in the red dress, Ashley R, Kylie, and Nicole to his Oklahoma farm. Devon, Stephanie, Sydney, Dahlia, and Megan move to Hunter's farm in Georgia. To the eliminated women, thank you for donating your time to a TV show I had fun watching, and I'm sorry the editors didn't include most of your names in the episode. Right after elimination, the farmers have to make another important decision. One woman is heading back to the farm early for an uninterrupted 24 hours with their preferred farmer before the other women arrive. Alan picks Cassidy Joe, which I think is a pretty classy move considering he initially planned to eliminate her. Hunter picks Sydney, a 22-year-old livestock judger. It's how I realized that there are a lot of women in their early 20s in Hunter's group. Megan is 23, Devon's 25, and quotes the Matthew McConaughey all right after surviving elimination. So yeah, Hunter's got some age stuff happening in his storyline. Farmer Landon picks Ashley R for his first 24 hours, but in a way that needlessly taunts the other Ashley in his group.
Problem is, I have 2 Ashleys. But if you would like to come back with me.
Yeah, thanks.
That leaves Farmer Ryan, who picks Haley. Now, all the farmers are in their home states with their first potential wife driving from the airport to their farms. The farmers all drive pickup trucks, and they all store the women's luggage in the back seat. But isn't the back seat of a pickup truck supposed to be the truck bed? I wish we'd seen more footage of these car rides, because I bet the trips from the airports to the farms were long and awkward. They also encapsulate just how intense this show's structure is. There's no dating show bubble or Hollywood set for the cast to exist within. These farmers are living in their real houses with women they just met. They've all been dumped into the real world together in extreme rural settings. Prior to this premiere, ads for the show described it as The Bachelor meets Yellowstone. But I think it's more like Married at First Sight meets Alone. The show's format isn't without its benefits, though. Back on their own turf, the farmers start to open up. And by that, I mean they introduce the women to their animals. Ashley R is excited to pet Landon's cows now that she's farmified her wardrobe, I assume at the Oklahoma airport. Alan's dog Frenches Cassidy Joe. Sydney meets Hunter's pig, Ernest Tubby, and his nicest horse, Draco, even though she says she's scared of animals that are bigger than her.
So here's a plot twist for you. I'm scared of animals bigger than me.
Okay. How's your fear of big animals going?
Surprisingly well, I guess. Did you bring it over here just for me?
Haley meets Ryan's horse, LT. Haley doesn't get a lot of screen time before this part of the episode, and maybe I'm biased because I think she looks like Robb Stark's wife, but I think she could be a front runner too. While showing her around the stables, Ryan holds Haley's hand, which is the most physically affectionate thing anyone does in the episode, unless you count Cassidy Joe pressing Alan's hand into her boobs. But elsewhere, affections are already starting to wane. Ashley R. is increasingly shell-shocked by just how rural Landon's lifestyle is. As he drives her through the Oklahoma countryside, she comments on how far apart the houses are, and is concerned when Landon reveals that his house is way more isolated than the ones they're driving past.
I like how the houses are like all spread out.
Yeah, and these are way closer together than any house next to mine.
Oh, really?
I don't have a neighbor for 2 miles.
2 miles?
Yeah.
When they arrive on Landon's property, Ashley R. is taken aback again when she sees that his farmhouse is small and very masculinely decorated.
Definitely a little bit more rural than I expected. Feels really shocking. It still doesn't feel like this is the reality that we're going to be staying here. Wow.
Yeah, so this is Casa.
Very manly in here. Now I'm here. I'm not sure what to expect, so yeah, it makes me nervous.
How many of these contestants were expecting palatial farmhouses like the one in the original Game of Life? Hopefully not that many. Because instead of multi-story mansions with columns in the front, painted window shutters, and a matching front door, they're getting gun safes in the living room, deer heads mounted on the walls, and little cottages built by the farmers themselves. Back in Tennessee, Cassidy Joe is similarly unnerved by Alan's small farmhouse. She's also viscerally turned off by the color of his kitchen cabinets. They're blue. She asks if Alan painted them. He says an ex chose the color, and the episode ends as Cassidy Joe wonders what kind of ex.
Did you pick this out?
An ex painted him that way, so.
Okay. I hope it's not his ex-wife who painted him. I think it's an ex-girlfriend. You know what? I need to talk to him if he's been married already.
I've seen a lot of reality TV cliffhangers, but never one about whether someone's ex-girlfriend or ex-wife painted their kitchen cabinets. And I respect Farmer Once a Wife for not pretending to have any more dramatic an ending than that. Overall, I'd say Farmer Once a Wife is not a good watch if you like dating shows for the drama. Both full season trailers in this episode were pretty forgettable. But the show is perfect for escapism if you like highly saturated images of pastoral landscapes. I'm looking forward to the next episode because I saw potential in this premiere. There are lots of little details and small moments that I really liked. There's Kirsten laughing too long and too loudly in response to Alan's attempt at humor.
So how's that feel?
A little wrong, actually. No.
The farmers rattle off several country expressions that Jasmine from Big Brother 23 wishes she thought of.
Farmer Hunter, how do you feel right now?
Nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, honestly.
Ashley is just cuter than a speckled pup sleeping in the shade of a wagon wheel.
But my favorite moment from the entire premiere is this weirdly close-up, slowed-down footage of Alan just turning to camera. I also like Farmer Once a Wife because it reminds me of an earlier era of reality television. The show, especially The Four Farmers, feels free from the influence of social media or career reality stars. And it's nothing against social media or career reality stars. It's just that there's nothing like watching a regular old person figure out, or not, how to be on camera. The contestants themselves do have a more polished, Instagram-ready appearance, which kind of puts them at odds with the premise. But again, the real problem with casting is the lack of diversity. There's not a single dental hygienist in this cast. Aside from casting, though, I think I'd only change one major thing about this premiere. Like Bachelor Nation's roses, I want the farmers to hand out some kind of useless trinket to signify that someone's safe from elimination. To keep it in theme, I'm thinking belt buckles, depending on the elimination dress code, or hand stamps, like a play on branding. But other than that, I don't have complaints about Farmer Wants a Wife. And that's a big deal because I love to complain. Thanks for watching. You can come back next Tuesday for another Farmer Wants a Wife recap, assuming this one didn't get a copyright strike. And in the meantime, if you're so inclined, please like and subscribe. Thanks again. See you next time. Bye.